Hey, what's up? So back with another episode of the manga magazine series. This one is a manga magazine by the name of Kakuu. So this is the spring 2015 issue, and Kakuu is, if you notice the sort of style of the cover that is for this magazine, it's very inspired and very reminiscent of Garo. And that is pretty much the case where Kakuu is a sort of doujinshi manga circle an anthology that was started by Sorao Nishino, but is now taken over by Kawakatsu Tokushige for editing and writing duties since issue 14, so from this issue forward. So this manga magazine sort of aims to bring that same spirit of Garo to the current era, right? So a lot of the artists in here you might have heard of before. I do have some of their manga on the side that I will use to support the video as I'm going along, just to showcase who is who, what is what, that sort of thing. But yeah, Sorao Nishino I have done a video on before on their Yonen Club manga, which I'll get out right now. This one here. So this is who the mangaka of this started this manga anthology, but it is now taken over by Kawakatsu Tokushige, whose manga is this over here, just to give an example of what they do. They are a mangaka and manga researcher as well. So Kawakatsu debuted in Gento in 2011, and this is one of the tankobon that they've done. They've released another tankobon recently as well. But yeah, so the first issue of Kakuu, which the title means and translates to fictitious or imaginary or fabricated. So the first issue of Kakuu came out in 2010. The latest issue is issue 16 in 2018. So it's kind of been on like indefinite hiatus. I don't think it's been cancelled yet, but apparently these issues are quite rare to find because low print numbers, and you know, it's a doujinshi manga publisher, so it's like an independent amateur publisher, so not many copies of this were printed. So this is the only one I have. I really want to find more, but unfortunately they're super rare. I can't find any at all, so I got really lucky just to find one of them. But I will put some like a link in the description of what this one, I think in Takushe they had a couple, but all of them are sold out. But yeah, so let's just get started with this here. So the cover is by Kawakatsu Tokushige, and it's actually for one of the stories that are in this series here. So we've got a little illustration on the inside and the table of contents. So the first one that we start off with is a manga by Junichiro Saito, who you may know for the Shit Chofu series. So Junichiro Saito publishes in Torch, I believe. Torch Comics? Yeah. In Torch Comics, Lee Publishing. They do these sort of gritty, hard-boiled manga in a town, Shitchofu, about like crime and all that sort of stuff. And so the first chapter in this magazine is from Shitchofu. So this specific chapter is called In the Shitty Soup. I'm not sure if this one was in Glaolia, translated in Glaolia, because I know Glaolia translated like maybe a couple of Shitchofu chapters. But that first one there is a short one from this tankobon. So Junichiro Saito did contribute a couple of chapters throughout Kakuu. So that was the first one there. So the next one we have is quite a long chapter actually. So this is a story called the Showa-Era Self Pleasure Record by Kawakatsu Tokushige. And this one is quite a long one. It's about a family. They find out one day, so this is the family here, the daughter, the house, that sort of thing. They find out one day that someone had taken a shit on their ancestor's grave, which is a wild way to start the story. So I'll skip over a couple of things and I'll find the grave first. Yeah, so this is like the grandpa. There we go. This is where he discovers the turd on the grave. And the whole quest at the start of the story is to find the culprit for this. You know, who could have taken a shit on their beloved ancestor's grave. And so they hire some help, and it turns out that what they do to lure the culprit in is use all these tanuki dolls, or like tanuki machines that like with a song as well. So a tanuki pops out because it turns out that the tanuki was the one that was taking a shit on the grave, and this is it over here. So it wasn't a person, it was this tanuki. And so they lure it in, and we've got this really cool double page spread of the tanuki thinking that all of these dolls are real and having fun. But it gets captured. And here we go. They've got the tanuki here. It's finally been captured, and what the daughter decides to do is that she wants to keep it as a pet. So she goes around parading it, and every time someone asks, "Oh, is that a tanuki?" She I don't know why, she replies, "No, it's a dog." So it keeps going. Everyone knows it's a tanuki, but she keeps replying, you know, "It's a dog, it's a dog, it's a dog." That sort of thing. And tanuki is just pretty much being dragged around. They also have this little section here, I believe. Yeah, so from this section on, which was pretty interesting, and it's quite fitting because Kawakatsu is a manga researcher. There's a section where they explain kashihon, so rental manga, and they also show off some kamishibai as well. Yeah, so we've got some examples of some rental manga here, which is really cool. Just seeing like a black and white drawn version of that. Because she's here at a bookshop, and this whole section as well is just talking about that industry, giving some information, which is really cool. But we go back to the plot, and yeah, so this is the kamishibai section. The girl finds this guy who tells the story of the kamishibai through these panels here, and it's about like, I forgot what the story was about actually, like a poor family. But the story that is told on the kamishibai actually resonates with the tanuki, and it gets quite sad because the reason why is we learn that the backstory of the tanuki is that its home was taken away due to construction. So this, you can see here the destruction of its home, people cutting trees down, and so it then goes to take its revenge on humans, and that's where we found the turd on the grave. So that's how everything connected with that, which is quite a, you know, it's quite sad. Its habitat being destroyed by that construction company. But yeah, so the story kind of ends with it just being stuck as a pet, which is a bit of a sad ending, especially because we see the tanuki being reminded of what had happened to its home. But yeah, so this one was a pretty good one. Especially loved the little section with the kashihon and the kamishibai as well. That was really cool and just very fitting for Kawakatsu and what he does. So that was a great one. This is a little cute tanuki again. Great cover. But yeah, so that was the second story. Quite a long one. We're already at 70 pages. And also the magazine here, very good quality as well. So this was back in 2015. Almost feels new with a little bit of yellow, but that's fine. So the next mangaka and story that we have is a story that is titled Events at the Seaside by mangaka by the name of Yamada Eiko, who I've never really heard before. I've never seen their art. But this one is about this poor woman who is pretty much homeless. She's moving around from place to place, and she goes in and finds this empty hut. So she's in there living in it. I believe the owner of the hut tells her to go away, that sort of thing, but she begs and she's allowed to stay for a bit. But as she's sleeping, we have this spirit, a ghost who pops up, who annoys her a little bit. And she wakes up, she sees the ghost, and she gets a bit scared. So it turns out that the ghost, this woman here, she was murdered by her husband because of his jealousy of someone being in love with her. So kind of a love triangle sort of thing. But yeah, you can see the ghost sort of interacting with the lady. And this is where we sort of get wind of that love triangle thing. Also, yeah, and the other ghost pops up. So all three ghosts are here and they start fighting, which is kind of funny. But main character's like, I should probably leave now. She goes ahead and steals a watermelon and goes to find another place. And yeah, that's the end of that story. I do believe as well, this big section where she's just talking a lot, I do believe she is talking about her own family history, and I think that her family also has a background of adultery, so that's kind of how it's related. But great scene here, ending off the story with her looking out to the sea after stealing the watermelon. So that was a cool one as well. Interesting because I've never seen this mangaka too. We'll need to research more and see what else they have done, because yeah, quite a couple of the manga in this issue I've never heard of before, which is another case in the next story. This one is titled The Story of Finding Bones. The mangaka's name is Ota Motoyuki, also formerly known as Toriko Satoru. This one I didn't really understand too much. It's about a guy who finds, I guess, a bone of some sort, and it's somehow connected to maybe an alien. So he's a mangaka. This is his assistant, I believe, or maybe co-worker, not too sure. But yeah, that bone is somehow connected to aliens, or maybe they think it is. Yeah, it's not too sure what happens in that one, but that's the story of finding bones. The next one is also quite an interesting one. This is actually, again, another manga chapter by Kawakatsu Tokushige. So this one instead is more focused, it's Untitled, but it's focused on the artist Akasegawa Genpei, who I have shown off on the channel before. This is one of their manga. Akasegawa did contribute to Garo, does a lot of like art criticism. He was famous for the 10,000 yen like imitation note thing, which I'll put in the description. There's a lot of things that Akasegawa is known for. He also did like a Nejishiki parody called Ozashiki, which looks pretty funny. But it's this whole chapter is commentary on Akasegawa through Kawakatsu's lens. It looks at his works and I guess some history on Akasegawa as well. And so love this. This is very, I believe this is just a reference to one of Akasegawa's panels, much like this one as well. So it's kind of like a non-fiction chapter. I believe this is a reference to Ozashiki. But yeah, because I don't know I haven't read anything from Akasegawa yet. I've had this book for quite a while, but I actually haven't dived into it. But love this panel here. You have this big hand with a pencil being jabbed into one of the soldiers, I believe. Really cool. And yeah, I think as well, on top of that, there are showcases. Here we go. there's a showcase of the special issue of Axe. So this here is the Axe special issue for Akasegawa, which this scene is just Kawakatsu finding the special issue in a store and reading it. But yeah, so it's pretty much just a perspective of how Akasegawa Genpei interests Kawakatsu and why he studies his works, that sort of thing. But yeah, that issue, I actually don't have this issue. What issue is this? 102? 102 maybe? Yeah. I don't have this one yet. We'll try to find it. Special issues are always cool, but that was the Untitled chapter by Kawakatsu again, so it's pretty cool. He actually has two chapters in this anthology. So we'll move on to the next one. This is a story titled Soil of Blessings by Kazuya Mado. I haven't read anything from Mado yet, but they are a contributor to Axe. They've got a couple of tankobon that have been published by Seiden Kogeisha, who is the publisher of Axe. This one's quite a strange one. It's this guy here, he's in the mountains. He's looking for like a specific soil. When they're asking what he's doing, he says he's finding soil for a pharmaceutical company. But it turns out he was lying because he's kind of like eating it. And this mysterious person pops out from the blue and acknowledges that there is something special in the soil as well, that she knows what he's doing. So in terms of what he's actually doing, I'm not too sure. There seems to be something magical maybe about the soil, but as soon as he's found out, because they realize he was lying, he goes away, digs through the soil, and runs away. So interesting one. I'm not really sure what exactly was special about the soil, but probably something magical, just because this person just comes out of nowhere and flies off. But interesting one, Kazuya Mado, Soil of Blessings. So we're nearly done with this magazine. We've got a couple more chapters to go through. This one here is called Silent by Tomohisa Fusano, which I believe is how you pronounce their name. I'm not too entirely sure if that's correct. But this one is also another interesting one. It's a mostly silent, as the title suggests, chapter. This boy is kind of, this like little shadow appears and he gets in a fight with it, I believe. But these hiragana pop up throughout the chapter. I'm not too sure of the significance of that. So it goes mukuchi. I'm not sure what that means. And the shadow gets hurt a bit, but man, I'm not too sure what happens at all. But it's pretty cool. This whole sequence of like, looks like dancing at one point, but no, it looks more like a fight. That was pretty cool. Don't know anything about the mangaka. It was my first time hearing about them as well. So yeah, that was quite a short one. The next one, this one surprised me the most actually. So the reason why, so to introduce it, it's a story that is titled Sachiko-chan's Junior High School Diary by Chiaki Harada. And the reason why I was surprised, because I do have some Harada works, and all of her manga and books that I have, all of them are in color. So I did not know that she did black and white stuff in the past. So I have shown off this book in a previous manga haul video, but I am more used to this sort of stuff, seeing all the color from her works. But going into this issue, not knowing that she actually did black and white manga, was very surprised, because black and white works really well for her art style actually. Everything is a lot more creepy in it. I definitely do like both, both color and black and white, but it's such a surprise seeing her stuff in black and white. So I do have to look into it more to see if she has released any black and white manga. Maybe she has, maybe I just didn't know, but a very creepy tone to this manga here. It's, as far as I know, it's something about Sachiko, so she's very sleepy, she's trying to stay awake, and she has a dream where she goes to buy yogurt with her friend. It's a very strange manga chapter anyways, but I love this sort of flowing hair throughout. I'm not sure if it's hair or it's something, but you've got the face blacked out. Super cool. But yeah, a very big surprise for me, a very pleasant surprise seeing her work in black and white for the first time. So that was really cool. So moving on to the next one, it's a chapter 5, so The Body That Forces People to Work by Tetsu Kayama. I have no idea what's going on here. Very dense. Looks like maybe, I don't know, maybe superhero or like a villain story. Not too sure, but it's a chapter 5, so I wouldn't really know anyways. Next one, Cotton Grass by manga named John Kurokawa. So this one here is also quite an interesting one. We follow a man here who goes to take a walk at night and finds a strange bus. When he goes in, he finds a boy from his childhood that he knew by the name of Sho-chan. And why this is so significant is because when he was a kid, we get a little flashback after this. When he was a kid, he saw Sho-chan drown. And we are brought to this place where he drowned, to the lake with cotton grass. A very morbid panel, actually. Just in the center, you have this creepy face of him drowning. So he's kind of revisiting that trauma because he didn't really do anything. He just ran away at that time. And so now, in the present, as an adult, he runs through in the water trying to, save the kid. But what we have here is a lot of cotton grass falling to the river, which I guess is symbolic of that time. And he finds that after he leaves the lake, it feels like the guilt has been sort of lifted a bit, or has disappeared. So throughout this one, really cool because I love the use or the lack of borderlines for the paneling. They're just sort of just separated by the white space. But throughout the story, I love how Sho-chan is always drawn with shadows obscuring his face. Like his first appearance as well was this. All of it is very creepy, and even worse with this harrowing panel there. But great art, amazing story, one of my favorites from this issue. So now we move on to the very last story. It's titled Living Alone by a mangaka, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one either. Maybe it's Hanako Katsumi. So this one here is about how someone has died, and this character here is living alone and sort of dealing with that. And they just go out in the rain, saying that or sort of declaring, that they're living in Tokyo now and they're working as a mangaka, and it's more, I guess, directed to their parents. So I was a bit confused. I'm not too sure if their parents have died or someone else has died, but pretty short one. Just maybe it's a stand-in for the actual mangaka as well, with how they're feeling. But yeah, that was the last story of the magazine. A great issue, a really cool one. If I can, I really want to find more of this Kakuu magazine, but again, super rare. Like finding Gaara issues compared to this is so easy. This one is super hard, very low print run. So man, I really lucked out getting this one. So we'll see how it goes, how many issues I can find, because over the past year I can only find one. So that's kind of an example of how rare it is to find in the wild. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. This was a really fun one to read. Pretty surprising as well, seeing all these new manga in a magazine that is trying to carry that Gaara spirit over. But yeah, great one. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.